from NRM. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here once more.
Thank you. Now, elections are 4 years away, as I said earlier on. Positions are going on. Muhoozi is being talked of as the next president to replace his father as NRM leader. Mao is positioning himself, that is the DP presidential candidates, is positioning himself. He's already within NRM. Joseph here is trying to be an aspirational leader of the UPC, and of course there'll be others. Robert Kyagulanyi, he's going to be there, and of course there are many other Ugandans who are already lining up as far as this is concerned. Now, I just want to find out, I mean, I know it's a bit too early, but should we, is this the time, instead of focusing on the country, that we should start focusing on the next leader rather than focusing on the country, the issues that are bothering the country that needs to be solved, that DP, UPC, and NUP and all the others can help in one way, rather than now trying to look at the next president? I don't know, I want to start with you. Should we, is this the time to do this, or should we simply work and divert Ugandans to move forward and look for something much better now and wait until the next election?
I think, Steve, your concerns are legitimate. In a normal democracy, governments and parties are elected on programs. They get on with the job, as Blair used to say. Really, in Uganda, we had elections last year, which was very difficult elections. I was on the ground. After those elections, I begged Mr. Museveni, using my monitor columns, that he needed, after the tragic experiences we had in the elections, that he needed to come out as a father, a figure to bring the country together in terms of national unity, focusing on the urgent things that need to be done in our country. Whether or not he did that, I don't know. I think, unfortunately, in many cases, he came out slightly much more grandiose, like chest thumping. We won and we defeated them. Things like so. That's the unfortunate tone. Politically, I don't think really the problem in Uganda at the moment is necessarily about that slot of one position. I think it's a manifestation of the challenges we've been facing as a country. Meaning, political parties, except UPC, are finding their feet politically in terms of ideological orientations, including NRM, which is trying to make itself a political party. Number two,
it's trying to become a political party.
Political parties and organizations that actually exist are trying to forge ways of the processes of going through the democratic process, internal democratic process, which is extremely very important. In UPC's case, unfortunately, actually, my focus has really not been thus far about the national presidency, because that comes with the territory. My focus has been about reclaiming Uganda People's Congress from where NRM and others pushed us off. The fact that we come back onto the national table as a political party, reorganize post the return to multipartyism in 2005. And it's been a difficult job because we've been pushed by. So that is not only a matter of the fact that parties were banned. The reality is about many of these other things. So that's one. Number two, unfortunately, after the death of Milton Obote, who had been a long-standing father figure in the party and the country, the party sort of struggled with the leadership. So really, for me, I joined this specifically to rescue UPC. When court ruled that Jim McKenna had not been elected with the mandate of the party, just said very quickly, internal conflicts of the party, I came in as a candidate. That is the contestation that I'm working on. I'm focusing on a court ruling on this. We have a UPC leader, and then we begin to reorganize UPC. Once the party is reorganized, we can then go ahead and meet our good friends in NRM and see what programs they've got for the country, our friends in NUP, and then try and push an agenda.
I want to bring Mr. Katungi in here. Because the issue I'm looking at more is instead of focusing ourselves on the next leader, let's look at issues that are affecting the country and look at the national.
I said so, and I said
I just want to hear your opinion here.
My take is that, and these are my personal views. I'm not speaking for NRM. I'm not a spokesperson for the party there is, but as someone who is familiar with the goings on in the party, I think I can have fair comment. Your question is a bit off topic as far as NRM is concerned, because we are not preoccupied with leaders and positioning leaders for the next elections. Not
no, the reason why I mentioned that is that after Muhoozi's party, birthday party, and now
I'll put that in context for you.
T-shirts are everywhere.
Let me put that in context for you. You should not ascribe that to NRM. You see, NRM has many volunteers in the party. We have many people doing different things at different times, but we do let our leaders grow organically from within the party. So if you look at what we actually, those groups, we call them Nyekundire. They are volunteers. So if you see people excited strategically doing things, you cannot ascribe it to NRM. NRM has not fronted Muhoozi, and there are some young people excited about General Muhoozi and whatever. I don't know. It's not even a preoccupation within the party organs. I've not heard it discussed as something evolving, as placing Muhoozi in the leadership queue. Those are things in the press and exciting young people and all that. But NRM believes in, actually they call it cadre identification, cadre placement. So that happens organically within the party. Now we are preoccupied with governing. You've only had 1 year and a few months mandate. So if you ask me about the parish development model, if you ask me about what government is doing, I'd rather discuss that because we have a mandate. It's nearly fresh. 1 year and a few months is not that long. If you ask what we are doing, if what is the delivering, what we have not done, but if you talk about positioning people, I've not seen it happen in the NRM.
Now the reason why I'm saying that, we have a saying in Uganda that it's, in fact, it's common even in West Africa. It's there that there's no smoke. Where there's a fire, there's smoke. Now, it might not be that is the focus of the party, but because it's being seen by so many, there's a lot going on about him, and their T-shirts. They're the youth who are trying to drive this, but there is that element as well that somewhere within the party, now that he's becoming more open, he's being seen more than he was seen 10 years ago. Maybe that is the reason why.
You have to know that there is nothing that excludes General Muhoozi from participating in Uganda's politics. Nothing at all. Even in our constitution of Uganda, it's not stated anywhere that the children of the leaders will not take part in, So if General Muhoozi is positioning himself and aspiring, that's a question that should be going to him and his Nyekundire group. But to ask it of NRM as a party, I think it's a bit, out of the normal, because we are not discussing it in the party. So for him, I mean, there are many other cadres who normally strategize in advance and do things. It's not the first time. And General Muhoozi being one is not something that we can be excited about within NRM. Maybe it can excite other people. But we still have a leader for the next 4 years, and we have many other leaders we can choose from. We are not short of any. So it's not something we want to center on. If General Muhoozi and his group of Nyekundire wants to excite people, that's not a matter for the party now that preoccupies NRM.
I'm actually not sure if I were president of UPC today and experience such a whatever is happening out in NRM, possibly with my son, in this case my daughter, engaging in the manner in which we to basically dismiss it. No, but I understand Patrick is being very diplomatic about it. This is a known open things. We're decent three gentlemen here. There's a lot going on that we know that cannot be discussed.
I can understand his point when he says that when it's not written down. For example, it's not there in the party manifesto. It's not there anywhere.
No, but what we're discussing are not necessarily printed things. It's a reality that Muhoozi is campaigning. Muhoozi is a particular group. His father's trying to chastise him and talk about the national thing. Muhoozi has made speeches, made presentations, made trips. Unfortunately, using public money. Muhoozi, there's an element of Muhoozi, the general, the soldier. But there's a political element, including these birthday things going around the money. The country could actually ask, where was the money? It did not come from his pocket. We know that it didn't come from his pocket. It didn't come from his father's pocket. It's a national coffers. So these are serious discussions to have. Patrick, my own quick suggestion is this. Where we are, we need to begin to have these open conversations, including particularly that we are the next generation of leaders, whether or not these things are feasible. I am very courteous to young Mr. Muhoozi, and I wish him well in many other ways. Why? Because we have to have these conversations in an open way. The issue is, Muhoozi is pushing himself forward. Many other people are pushing themselves forward. They're legitimate conversations, by the way. Now, how it's done, neither here nor there, you can say that. But that it's not happening, I don't necessarily agree.
Okay. Your inspiration. I'm turning now to you.
Yeah.
You also got inspiration of leading the UPC.
I just wanted to chip in something.
Yeah. Okay.
Because NRM, and I think other parties have ways of the way they work, the way they operate. The reason I was saying that that's not a preoccupation for NRM, because NRM has organs. It has a district, set up. It has the national conference. It has the SEC. It has the... I have not heard on the agenda of those organs of the party, Muhoozi as an item for discussing. So that is peripheral, as far as I know, for the party. For other
well, I think from what he's trying to say is that it might not be written down as part of the Uganda, but
for us, if it's not written down and discussed officially, then it's not something even now I can offer. I can talk about it like any other Ugandan, but not as an NRM project.
Okay.
So in other words, General Muhoozi's ambition is not an NRM project; it's an individual project.
But government funds are being
not
used.
at all. That one is speculation.
Okay.
Because you have to say something with evidence. So which funds? Where did they come from? Who sanctioned them? How many Ugandans have parties and do things, throw away? So they call them socialites. People who have a bit of their own money use it for excitement. So really, for someone to say that the government has given them money to do parties, I don't agree with that. Because you have to prove what you say. I've not seen anywhere in the government that they are sanctioning money.
That line, I think, because of the lack of evidence we have, we can't really keep pushing it because we don't really have much evidence. Now my main issue, sometimes, something which has been affecting me for quite a long time, is something about our political parties. And I can see both of you as representative of these two parties, and you are very passionate about it. But this is something which historically has been affecting us. They were founded, most of them, on individualism and nationalism, without nationalism as a whole. I mean, they were founded on Catholic, one was Catholic, if you are talking about DP, we're talking about UPC, you're looking at Protestant. And then, of course, we had the Kabaka Eka. These are in the 60s I'm talking about. The founding people who founded the parties were based on this issue. Now, nationalism was thrown out of the window. Now, this has affected not just Uganda, but the entire African continent. It's affecting Ethiopia, it's affecting Somalia, and everywhere. Now, how can Uganda now try to work a way of making sure that we have the nationalism, as we were saying? Let's deal with nationalism now. Because what is happening in NRM is a national issue. What's happening in UPC during the back old days of Obote were national issues, but they were not seen at the time. Can I have Mr. Dennis?
From the point of view of NRM,
creation of nationalism at the moment.
First of all, you have to ask me, what are the tenets of the national resistance movement as a party? Because they are there, they are laid down, and they are democracy, Pan-Africanism, patriotism, and socio-economic transformation. Those are the tenets on which the party was formed. And you have to know that NRM is the youngest of the parties you are discussing.
Of course,
It was formed as a result of those issues that you are talking about.
That the others failed to do.
Exactly. It eschewed religion affiliation, because when you look at NRM, it has people from all of those parties, including the leader himself. He was one time in UPC, and he was one time in DP.
I was going to say that,
Yes. So most of the people in NRM, the leadership, have tested those waters, and they came to the conclusion that they needed to form a new party that does not operate on those old grounds, and that's what NRM stands for. So what you're saying is already captured in our party, in the constitution that forms it, and in the way it operates, because those things don't come up. Tribalism, even when it came to power, I think there is enacted a law against sectarianism. So you have what you are saying. I'm saying NRM is already doing it
under the 10-point
just a recent example. If you see, we work with everyone from other parties. You've just said in your comments that Norbert Mao has just joined NRM, which is not factually true, because it's not the first time we are allying with other parties. When NRM came into power, it allied with Kawanga Semogore was the president then, and a whole team of his people, the Staricos, they were a team, many. So this is an alliance to solve those issues you are talking about, of saying what is the national interest. Can we deal with that rather than centering on party parochial interests?
Is it working? That's the question. Is it working? Because if it's already there, and we can see, and it's already there, it was formed under the guidelines and so on. The question is it working?
This one here is a co-option. That's Patrick's opinion. This one is co-option. the programs that you're talking about, I'm surprised you don't know. First, the formation of UPC. UPC was founded. The founding president of UPC was a Muganda from Luweero, Ignatius Musazi. The foundations for Uganda People's Congress, as Uganda National Congress, was actually very much about nationalism, African interests, about African rights, African workers, then a push for independence. So really, UPC is the open, progressive, nationalist political party. It was then, it is today, and it will be in the future, including over and beyond me. No, Stephen, it did work. Let me tell you very quickly. Once UPC turned that and went for the national elections in 1962 and won the elections, UPC asked for a government of national unity. That's a very important point you're making, because I'm very much a convictionist.
It did. I remember.
I'm very much a convictionist on that, including to quash the religious thing. DPS was founded on Catholic grievances in Buganda, from Buganda particular perspective, and that is all. And it's only limited to DP. NRA, we can actually discuss where the composition of NRA from the early times, but that's a different topic. I don't want us to go into that with Patrick today. So at independence, UPC asked for a government of national unity. It is asking for a government of national unity after we had won the majority in parliament. That DP refused to join us. And DP refused to join because DP did not want to sit on the same cabinet table with KY. So it's really Uganda political and religious conflicts. So it's much more Uganda rather than Uganda national. And so, by and large, that's 1962. In 1980, UPC won the elections convincingly. NRA lost. Museveni lost in Mbarara, After UPC won the election, said, after Idi Amin, we need to come together and form a government of national unity. Obote asked again and again and again for Paul Semogere and DP to sit with us in his government of national unity. One, Semogere refused, but opted to have one leg in parliament, another leg in the bush, supporting Museveni. Of course, Museveni, instead of going to court after the 1980 election, losing to a DP Kutesa, he went to the bush in Luweero, hence whatever else happened. So really, the founders of these things are UPC. However, when you then come to the 1986, yes, this message from Museveni and Semogere, the problem that DP and NRA joined hands to push aside the UPC. It was not national interest. It was a very specific interest for which, again, some people argue it was much more about the North and East as the guys who've been dominating power. I'm saying it today for the first time, versus the West and the South. And Museveni actually used this very identity politics very, very much, that these guys have been dominating politics for a long time, which was very unfortunate. But that is how it happened. And unfortunately, did it work? Semogere 10 years later realized it was not working, came out of the arrangements.
The thing I have to say here is that action is better than words.
That's correct.
What was put in action then?
Do you know that between 1962 and 71, when Amin took over, when Amin came in, UPC, the government, what did the government have? Against everything else, the government delivered on health, education, infrastructure, industry, employment, and everything.
Because
1980 to 85, UPC focused on delivering national, including Uganda, where they did not win one seat. If you hear Mr. Museveni after elections, he says you've given us the bad ones.
Listen, let me tell you one thing
about
the issue. When UPC won the elections in 62, the country was flowing. It was flowing. It hadn't gone into the troubles that had existed at the time. It was flowing. And Obote was a clever man, ruled very well. Issues that had already been 10, 15 years planned in advance. We are going ahead.
Some people don't want to give Obote and UPC credit, say that, he found a good thing. Museveni came and found a good thing in 1986, sank our banks, sank our education, sank our health system.
No, listen. From what you are saying, I still go back to my question of nationalism, because what I expected was to say that Obote would have done much better to put nationalism at the hand. Because if you look at it, Nyerere Nyerere did a lot in Tanzania in terms of nationalism.
I don't know. I don't think that's to stick to Obote, because I don't know what Obote did not do that he needed to do in the 60s. I don't know what Obote did not do in the 80s.
Nationalism. When we talk about
the most diverse government, you know, the most advanced, most decent civil service in the African continent, development across the country.
Joseph, there's an issue here. You saw what happened in Kenya, Kenyatta. You saw what happened in Tanzania, and maybe even Kaunda in Zambia and so on. The national level issue that makes sure that you all are nationalistic as a country. The Pan-Africanism we are talking about has to come from home.
Do you know that during breakfast, if you meet Museveni well and you ask this one, Museveni will agree with you that you cannot touch Obote on the question of nationalism.
It's true. Credit should be given where it is due.
But what I'm saying right now is that, okay, let's not live in the past. Let's live in the present. How can we improve on that? How can we?
I think let me answer.
Made President General of UPC.
For us, we don't have president. We just have president. But let me just give a quick answer going forward on this one. Actually, what we really need to do, Patrick, is to allow political parties to grow and develop.
Of course.
And maybe one of the things we need to review is the manner in which you see Westminster system works. The manner in which these guys went ahead and bought some of the American system where power goes too much to the president. When there are political parties that grow and develop, like Uganda People's Congress, with the values, aspirations, track record, history, projects and program, NRM presents itself. DP presents itself. Parties then get elected on manifestos and programs, you know. Elections are free and fair. Free and fair, you know. Leaders go to
the first party that failed that test was UPC in 1980. Free and fair.
Don't go there. UPC won. UPC won the last 2 elections. By the way, I don't want to make life difficult for you. Museveni is in State House after 37 years. He did not win an election. Nobody took Museveni to State House. So let's not go there.
Okay, Joseph, I want to bring him in on the national issue because you see, it's not just touching Uganda, it's touching the entire African continent. Because if you fail to have nationalism, this is what is happening. It happened in Yugoslavia, by the way, in Europe. Tito failed to make...
And Museveni nearly caused it with the war in northern and eastern Uganda. He nearly caused it.
The country now is in pieces because he failed. You know, now I want to bring in Patrick. What do you think should be done now? Because the key thing is, okay, Museveni has tried. Whether he's trying hard enough or something. Because me as a journalist, I'm not seeing nationalism at a high level whereby we are all saying, now we are so proud of Uganda. We want that nationalism so that we hold the Ugandan flag that when the athletes win, we all run Uganda. We need that nationalism.
First, credit should be given where it is due. It is true that UPC was a nationalistic party at formation, and President Obote tried his best. But along the way, he failed. The mere fact that he could not control his army was a major factor, because the coup was a result of that. So when you talk about NRM, it has been trying to address the pitfalls, the things that didn't happen, picking the good things that we could, and developing new ones. For example, you know that we are the best in Africa now. Security-wise, the UPDF is the strongest army in the region. That's why we go peacekeeping elsewhere. So NRM identified those problems a long time ago. My brother here talks about the 1980 election, but that's we always have an argument over that. In my area, the song that was leading then was Twarire, meaning that they have already won the election before. And the other one was UPC Nechanga Kurunja Karuru, meaning that they know how to play the game with the ballot. So we knew right away that the reason NRM formed, or the President Museveni went to the bush, was because of that injustice. People felt that, you know, UPC had rigged an election massively, and even those who remained, like the DP, were not satisfied, but they just, you know, it was a survival game. That's why he's saying that they kept a leg, supporting the Bush war, and stayed within. So the issues that are of your concern within the NRM party are already, we are working on them. I mean, that's what I'm telling you, that if the tenets on which the party is built includes all that you are talking about, patriotism leads to nationalism. If you love your country, Pan-Africanism is because we are for the all Africa. That's why you see that we are major on East African Federation. So your concerns are already addressed within the NRM. Now the area where we want to work with others, that's why you see we talked to all the parties. Just recently, Honorable Norbert Mao is working with the NRM. We could do that with, and we've done it with the UPC people. I think we have some ministers who came from the UPC.
Individuals, but not as a party.
Individuals, indeed. So you can see that we are open-minded. As a party, NRM is open-minded, wants to work with everyone across the board. And the issues we are talking about, nationalism, are the key, are the tenets on which it was built. So that is the basis, the party, and that's why NRM has been winning elections in Uganda, because everyone sees the party as progressive, as having eschewed all those elements you are talking about that were negative in other parties, tribalism, religion. Those things don't surface anywhere in NRM. So, and given that it is the party in power, those things will be addressed continuously, including working with others, the DP, UPC, whoever comes across. But the moment you win an election, like we did in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 rounds, then you can talk to others who are willing to talk to you. You're not going to force them. Those who are willing, they come on board. But you have a manifesto to deliver. And we are now centering on doing that. Yes.
I know we'll go on and on as far as this is concerned, and you're not satisfied as far as this is concerned, because it's not something that is easy to achieve. And in fact, it probably took this country nearly 300 years in political terms to reach where it is, because we're enjoying democracy here, but the democracy that has been built in the West, people keep forgetting that it's taken them 200 to 300 years to reach. Africa is only 70 years.
I don't agree.
Yeah,
I'm more ambitious than that.
Okay, now the issue of parliamentarians is another issue that need to be addressed in the next, if the next parliament is to be successful. Uganda has 529 members of parliament, and United Kingdom has 4 countries, and it has 650 MPs, and then there is a big difference of 121 MPs. And these are 4 countries. We have the 650. Now, 121 MPs on the land mass which you look at, which is even compared. Now, I'm thinking there is nearly, because I was looking at the figures, $500 million spent on members of parliament each year. That's enough money to build a couple of hospitals in Uganda.
I hope Patrick can join me.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, can we, because when we look at where West is going, it doesn't require parties or anything. These are issues that need to be addressed in a sense that why do we need 529 members of parliament?
We don't.
And why do we need the amount of money that is given to these people is enough, if we have less, to build a couple of hospitals or build a couple of roads. I think Ghana, is addressing this issue, and I think Kenya, to a certain extent, Uhuru was also discussing this, and said we need to focus now more on where our biggest expenditure is. Now, I don't know, maybe NRM, I'll begin with Patrick, because I think
it is a matter that is being discussed. First of all, you know, it is problematic always comparing ourselves to others, to especially in the developed world. When you say Uganda, UK, Uganda, United States, things may not tally that way. Why? Because we have different problems.
I agree.
Our people's needs are different. For example, all these issues that have been coming up, districts, growing, MPs, sometimes they start from the ground. People want this, and they say service will be delivered better this way. And as NRM is a popular party, it listens to the people.
But in the 60s,
it listens to the people and does what they say they want. But the question of expenditure going through the roof and all that, of course, comes into it. And now it's a topic that is being discussed. So but I know that
the reason why I'm bringing this
I'm just giving you background.
In the 60s, we didn't have this number of MPs, but still the government was operating, and other regions were going on. The structure was working. You see the point?
But
that's what I'm saying. Now we have more MPs, but the structure is not, So the thing
debatable.
It's debatable. Yes.
The structure is not
maybe
working.
Okay.
Certainly, Uganda, where it is now, is much better than it was in the 60s and 70s.
I don't know. I don't even watch it with internet. Yes, which is everywhere.
We never had politicians going abroad for treatment. No. The hospitals had the drugs in them. We never had, maybe because we are living in the 21st century.
I was trying to persuade my brother here to join me to agree with you that again, this is one of the national issues that we need to put. Patrick, it's unworkable. It's a waste. It's a shame. It should not only be the case in Uganda, it should be the case in Uganda and across Africa. When you look at the general and absolute need of most of African peoples, we don't need elite me and you, in the more numbers. We need many more of us to strategically think so that more of these resources go to the peoples. This is my view.
Okay.
The 80s parliament, we were 126.
Members of parliament.
126 members of parliament. In my own area constituency, which is now, I think, now 3-4 constituencies. We were able to deliver third world schools, as they call them. Every sub-county had every sub-county had a secondary school. None of those have been built to capacity, and the project was to be built within 10 years. Every sub-county across the constituency. In the 60s, within 8 years, every sub-county had a new dispensary equivalent health center, 3 as they call them today. In the whole of Bukedi, as a sub-region, I was having a discussion about it actually earlier.
But remember
the National Media House.
The population. Absolutely. The population was not as it is today.
I agree. More than doubled.
I agree. Doubled. So put that into consideration.
And I totally agree. That's not the issue. The issue is not about population. The issue is, for instance, if you take my Tororo, you do not need an extra member of parliament to take services to Bosolo Hospital in Botaleja. You do not need an extra member of parliament in order to open up a new secondary school in Bosolwe, as we build Bokedi College Kachonga. You do not need an extra MP in order to build a National Agricultural College. Our National Agricultural College, Bositema, went to the dogs, as Mwende would say, and came back, and is now part of a national university, National Agricultural College. No, I think the size of parliament is unacceptable. The number of districts is a disgrace. And for me, from Bukedi, which was the most cosmopolitan district in the country, only followed by Luwero at the time, where we are at the moment where people are fighting over districts, as you understand, linguistic nationalities. I don't know how some citizens are going to be cut into 3 because in order to identify which part of it it's an absolute nonsense. I have actually argued many of these things crop up partly because of patronage, and patronage starts from the top. But number 2 is very much about services. When there's a loaf of bread for the 3 of us, I think we shall manage because we're gentlemen. But I'm telling you, when there's a loaf of bread and we're eating for 3 days, and 3 other people join us, you'll see the look that comes out of our eyes. No, the size of parliament in UPC's position, this is an official position. I will campaign for it as UPC president, and I will take it to Rakitura, I'll take it to Entebbe, I'll take it to the National Assembly. We need to review and revise the number of parliament and the number of legislators in Uganda. It has to change. So must the changes in local government administration. Most of the resources should really be going more to services, and to services you don't need a district commissioner. You don't necessarily need an LC chairperson for a particular region in order to deliver many of these things.
But the issue should look at, like I was saying, the population has gone up. Now, that's one thing. They need
services rather than representatives.
If the population goes up, and they are looking at the fact that a representation from an area which has more than 200,000 people, for example, will probably need another MP to look after them. Maybe they need to look at where they concentrate. Because my issue now is
they need more ambulances, they need more facilities in schools. I talk as a privileged guy in UK. I was a chairperson of the Labour Party, parliamentary. I was also a senior member of the local government executive. But I was also a close friend, I'm actually a close friend with the mother of parliament, British Parliament, Harry Cameron. So we used to go around these things and these places. On the number of the populations, the issue is services rather than representations. To the extent that a member of parliament goes to their surgery, and I'm sure Patrick's familiar, go to their surgeries, they'll send an agent, a trainee guy from Oxford University to come and learn, what are your problems, and then they write these letters. It's not necessarily about members of parliament.
Joseph, you're talking about UK, which has had 300 years of mastering what they're doing.
But we did it in the 60s, we did it in the 80s.
And you're comparing it to Uganda, which has had less than 60 years of and with everything that happened under Amin and so on and so on. So the structures are different. But then I want us to look at it from that angle, is that if we go to the district level and bring back what used to exist at the district level, and then we see the numbers, what determines are the numbers. I know what you're saying.
But can I tell you this, Steve?
The numbers is
I have been home.
I want to bring it back.
No, but just for 30 seconds. My constituency has been divided into two. In the last 2 years. Not one extra school, not one extra pot of drugs.
Okay.
But nearly 1 billion shillings going to a particular individual. Think about it.
Okay, Patrick, can you come in?
Consistently, NRM has said that they will do things their way.
Okay.
In other words, we, as I said before, we cannot compare ourselves with the best system here. That's and on everything. That's why we said we are nine aligned. We want to be pro this or pro that. We'll do things our way. So we do things that we think, because at the end of the day, we can't do copy and paste. What they've done here.
It can never work. It can never work.
We have to innovate. We have to look at our own demographics and dynamics. So the NRM is a dynamic party. It works with young people. It works with women. That's why it's introduced all these layers of positions of leadership for youth, for women. So the issues that we are talking about here are a hot debate within the NRM on how to tackle this, how to do this. It's not as if they have ignored or they are not aware. So as the party is in power, all these issues will be solved in due course.
But the numbers, my main issue is that the numbers don't make interest reading, in a sense that if we have the 529 members of parliament, which parliament can still function, because the legislators are not.
And what's
really
the origin of those who actually have been driving towards having all these MPs and districts?
Who? But who?
I think it's the parties.
No, it's not the party. It's the people.
No,
it's the party.
In which referendum?
No. It's the party. It's the party. It's the party.
So we need to check. Checks and balances are certainly necessary.
Exactly.
Spending on those layers of governance is not justifiable.
No.
I agree. So we have to look at this, and I know it's one of the items that is being discussed.
Because when you really look at it, if it comes in and you look at certain areas, I was in Luwera, I think, where they've done a division of one particular Luwera North and Luwera, and you're looking at within a minute's drive, you're in another region and there's a member of parliament. Then in Bunyula as well, there was a guy complaining here and said, why do we need another MP when the other, it's like you are here, we're here in London anyway, I can explain to the people, where Wood Street is.
I think the UPC thing. What they used to call gerrymandering. Is that what they created unnecessary constituencies because of political advantage?
That is actually propaganda, because it was not true. The 1980 elections.
There is another member of parliament, and less than 20 minutes you are in another area. And it doesn't say, how come this other, then what is this man doing if there are two of them in the same area? That's why I'm saying the whole issue has to be, again, it goes back to the national interest. Let's sit down, come up, listen to what the opposition is saying, and then make sure that we create necessary, because these are legislators who are taking
changes in national interest.
Exactly.
And one of the ways NRM is tackling that is working with people from other parties. For example, Joseph here, he's welcome to come and suggest all this from within the
I make my suggestions all the time. I use my call, but by the way, 7 picks them, because I know that he reads my stuff.
Now he is now the Minister of Justice, and he has leeway to introduce all he has ever suggested from the opposition.
That's co-option.
But then
signing a memorandum of understanding is not co-option. You're welcome. Even alliances and coalitions happen all over the place.
No, alliances are fine. In principle, yes. No, we introduced this in principle, yes. By the way, on a serious note, I actually have no problem in principle with the DP and NRM working together if they align formally. The only problem is that some of the things that I'm hearing from DP, I don't know whether or not it was something. Nobody's a friend of mine, but I don't know where there was a conversation between him and the DP executives. I know some DP guys who are wanting to come to UPC, actually very furious about it. I'm saying first time on camera, partly because of what Norbert has done with the NRM. It seems to be much more personal. Number two, some of the tone, Patrick, your publicist actually you do very well. From some of your colleagues in social media, other places, they do it like the victor's game.
Okay.
Which presents that, well, he has joined us rather than we are working together. For us, we worked together with KY in the 60s. We offered it in 1980.
It was a memorandum of understanding. It was all over the press. So even if these people...
what about the discussion leading to it?
No, but the only thing that I hear anyway as a journalist in various areas is that, okay, the consultation was never done with the party.
And that's what I'm saying.
It was more one individual thing when he decided.
But how do you arrive at that when DP already had internal differences? So it could be the other faction.
So you took one faction.
It could be the other faction propagating falsehoods. But Mao was the party president. He had an executive.
The good
he
guy.
came along with his secretary general and a number of his people. So he was, he was within his mandate to discuss.
Because
unless if you're saying that he actually was dysfunctional as the party president. What right did he not have to engage with other parties to sign documents, which is what he did?
Of course, as the party president, he had the powers to do whatever he's doing. But the problem is he needed to get involved.
As far as he's concerned, as the NRM is concerned, he consulted, he came with his executive. The meetings that took place with the president included a number of his leaders within the DP.
But what
comes? You can't have everyone.
Of course, you can't have. So
the other ones who have always been on his case are the ones propagating that falsehood that actually it was not discussed, but it was over a long time, over a year actually, I think.
Okay, now we're coming towards the end of the program, and something which I really we should look at, and that is something about President Museveni's legacy. He's been in office for the last 30 or so years.
37.
Is that okay? Yes. By the time he finishes, maybe it will be 40 years then. But we are looking more or less at, obviously, what he has done, the peace Uganda has had, and all that. What would both of you clarify as the biggest achievement? And maybe even now, if he hears this, this might reach the State House, could he do to improve on that legacy? Because at the end of the day, you want him or not, he's Uganda's president. He's our president. And obviously, whether we support or not, that legacy is there already. There are people who never supported Mandela, but they agreed with his, his legacy, what he did, and so on and so forth. When we look at his legacy, what should we look out for as the major thing he has achieved?
The only thing I can give to Museveni is the fact that he's been able to be in power for 37 years. That is more than twice, the existence of any. No, that is credit. And Mr. Museveni, please take this from me, Mr. Museveni. I am giving it to you. 37 years legacy, longest and very rich. Number one. Number two, to have turned his army that he shared with Kagame in many other ways to keep him there, sustain himself down there, and at the moment, they by and large, as I said, they consider themselves the strong guys of the continent.
Can't you look at something else as well? Buildings, the structure.
Structure of what?
Just say infrastructure.
You didn't let me finish. The peace. I mean, we've had peace for the last 37 years.
You would have let me tell him if he doesn't know.
Okay.
Strong on democracy. How many times have we had elections since independence? The only ever elections that we've had, cycles of elections since 86. Every 5 years. That's an achievement. Democracy, which was listed among the 10-point program. Second, security. The fact that Uganda is peaceful once in all these years, from one corner to another, no rebel group, nothing. That's an achievement. Infrastructure. You should look at everything that the way it were, whether it's electricity, whether it is education, whether it is health, where we were in 86 and where we are, it's leaps and bounds. The fact that, even life expectancy. Look, now Uganda is at 63. We were in the 40s.
Okay.
So there is a lot.
We have just a minute or so to go before, because we have another.
But quite clearly, to suggest that Uganda has been at peace for 37 years, when for 20 years there was literally effective genocide in northern eastern Uganda, is unacceptable. But number two, the election that we are talking about, this has all been a monolithic one-party elections kind of stuff. Health and education, I don't know what you guys are talking about figures.
Your party and DP. How can it be monolithic when you have
there is a
six
saying
parties?
that we have to agree to disagree.
Even new ones like NUP are coming up. On democracy, we are very strong.
I have to end on that note. We have to disagree to agree. Maybe we'll continue with this conversation at some point. I just want to thank you both for coming and obviously telling us all about and see how we can work out something in the national interest.
You're welcome.
Post Museveni, I hope Patrick and I can work together and we build something better for our country.
You're welcome to work with us without having to join NRM. Come with your party.
You will have to come to Uganda because
we can do the Mao way.
After Museveni, NRM is not going anywhere.
All right. I want to thank you all for viewing us, and I hope we'll be together for next week's edition of Africa Speaks. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
Diaspora Insurance. We understand the importance of dignified send-offs within Ghanaian culture and traditions. We also understand that you want to avoid the double trauma of your family grieving and not having the financial support to cover funeral expenses when you're not around. With our Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, you can now cover yourself or your family in Ghana or abroad. With no medicals required, we'll accept you if you are under 75 years. Visit our website today or call us to complete a simple form in under 5 minutes. With Diaspora Insurance, your peace of mind is guaranteed. At Diaspora Insurance, we understand the importance of dignified send-offs within Ghanaian culture and traditions. We also understand that you want to avoid the double trauma of your family grieving and not having the financial support to cover funeral expenses when you're not around. With our Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, you can now cover yourself or your family in Ghana or abroad. With no medicals required, we'll accept you if you are under 75 years. Visit our website today or call us to complete a simple form in under 5 minutes. With Diaspora Insurance, your peace of mind is guaranteed.
My name is Kofi Adoko. I'm a principal solicitor at Adoko Solicitors. I am also a duty solicitor. Anytime a person is arrested and taken to a police station, or if the police invite you to the police station for a voluntary interview, you have a right to free independent legal advice. Adoko Solicitors is authorized to provide free independent legal advice at police stations in England and Wales. So anytime you're taken to the police station, remember to say that your solicitors are Adoko's solicitors.
Are you in the UK and in need of immigration help? Do you require expert legal representation to regularise your stay or renew your existing leave to remain? Do you require advice or representation regarding a personal injury or criminal matter? If the answer is yes, then you do not need to look any further. Aduku Solicitors is here to provide you with all the expert legal advice and representation you require.
Be it immigration, criminal law, appeal against conviction or appeal against sentence, family law, personal injury, civil litigation, employment law or housing law. Aduku Solicitors is your trusted one-stop legal services provider with expert solicitors and caseworkers on standby to assist. Our police station emergency number is 07792 459 339. You can also call Aduku Solicitors on 0207 183 1479. You can locate Aduku Solicitors at 662 Old Kent Road, London, SE15 1JF.
At Diaspora Insurance, we understand the importance of dignified send-offs within Ghanaian culture and traditions. We also understand that you want to avoid the double trauma of your family grieving and not having the financial support to cover funeral expenses when you're not around. With our Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, you can now cover yourself or your family in Ghana or abroad. With no medicals required, we'll accept you if you are under 75 years. Visit our website today or call us to complete a simple form in under 5 minutes. With Diaspora Insurance, your peace of mind is guaranteed.
My name is Kofi Adoko. I'm I'm a principal solicitor at Adoko Solicitors. I am also a duty solicitor. Anytime a person is arrested and taken to a police station, or if the police invite you to the police station for a voluntary interview, you have a right to free independent legal advice. Adoko Solicitors is authorized to provide free independent legal advice at police stations in England and Wales. So anytime you're taken to the police station, remember to say that your solicitors are Adoko Solicitors.
Are you in the UK and in need of immigration help? Do you require expert legal representation to regularise your stay or renew your existing leave to remain? Do you require advice or representation regarding a personal injury or criminal matter? If the answer is yes, then you do not need to look any further. Adoko Solicitors is here to provide you with all the expert legal advice and representation you require.
Be it immigration, criminal law, appeal against conviction or appeal against sentence, family law, personal injury, civil litigation, employment law or housing law. Uganda Solicitors is your trusted one-stop legal services provider with expert solicitors and caseworkers on standby to assist. Our police station emergency number is 07792 459 339. You can also call Uganda Solicitors on 0207 183 1479. You can locate Uganda Solicitors at 662 Old Kent Road, London.